because it's almost like a person who, I don't know, gets hurt so much, gets traumatized so much, and never goes to therapy, but tries to tell everyone else how to get their life together. I was literally about to say, hello, beautiful human, and then a card just came out. Hello, beautiful human. Welcome to the Cancer Bay Crosswatchers only reading. I am Princess India if you are new, and if you are family, welcome back, my friend. Okay, sorry, I'm being extra. But if you're not familiar with what a Crosswatchers only reading is, it is a reading that I do with the intention to help people who are attempting to crosswatch on a Cancerian person. But I have heard through the grapevine being my comments, that this can resonate in a myriad of different ways, whether it's friends, family members. If you're a Cancer, you might resonate. It might be flip-flop, you know what I'm saying? So just get in where you fit in, my friend. So anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into you guys' cards, but starting out, we have the Seven of Cups that came out here, and it's more or less, how can I say this? In reference to energies related to you and your person of interest, your Cancerian of interest, I want to say that there's a myriad of paths and opportunities that are available to both of you. And it's a sense of, and I've said this before in another reading, analysis paralysis, but not really so much in just a cerebral sense. It's more or less that it's not having clarity on what is the best route forward for you and this person. So it feels like a lot of back and forth energy, a lot of options, a lot of opportunities between the two of you, but not really being sure how it is that you should move forward, whether that is individually or it's together. Now, at the bottom of your deck is the Five of Swords. So we're talking about a little bit of conflict here, not a little bit, but a lot of, and it's a great deal of power struggles. It's a lot of masculine energy here. I think when the two of you are together, more or less, when you're communicating or when you're around each other, I feel this sense of this need to always be right, whether that's both of you or one of you. So it's kind of like taking a stance of seeing perceptively one of you is wrong, perceptively another one of you is right, or it's just one of you that kind of feels this way, but it's almost like one-upmanship is what I want to say. And I mean, in a relationship, you don't necessarily want to approach things like that, but still in all, I'm seeing a great deal of imbalances and a lot of masculine energy here. If we look back at the Seven of Cups that fell out, there's an incongruence here as well, but it's more or less a lack of clarity on how to take action. So it's feeling a whole bunch of things, perceiving a whole bunch of things, being aware of a whole bunch of things, feeling a myriad of different things, but not really knowing how to move forward with that. Now, the first card that we have is the Ten of Wands from a Crosswatcher person. Then we have the Ace of Cups in the reverse. And then we have the Four of Wands. So for my Crosswatcher person, coming into the middle of October, I feel like you guys came into the middle of October with a sense of disappointment. Things didn't quite pan out the way that you had hoped in reference to this Cancerian person. I don't want to go as far as saying that you lost hope or anything, but I think it's, and I want to say specifically for some reason, I want to say like the 1st of October. So it's like something, so this kind of dates back to around that area. So that this could even be like the last few days of September and the first few days of October. Those of you who've been watching the readings up to this point, you know that, first 4 days and everything of October were important, but it's a sense of disappointment of things not panning out how you thought. And at present, it's more or less that's pretty cumbersome for you all. It's carrying a burden I feel it's a lack of clarity of why things panned out the way that they did. And not really being sure where to go from here. But in some sense or another, despite what has transpired up to this point, there's a certain desire for stability and security. And I would even go as far as to say, Crosswatcher, that there's still a desire for your Cancerian person. So despite whatever has transpired up to this point, or what has disappointed you up to this point, or what you guys are carrying up to this point, there's still this feeling or desire of wanting to have a stable foundation with this particular person, if that's making sense. Now, the next cards we have the Hanged Man in the reverse, and that is Cancerian energy, and the line of cards for your Cancerian person, and also Aquarius energy. And then we have the Judgment in the reverse. Oh, goodness, that's Pisces energy here. And then we have the Two of Wands. Whew. This is sacrifice. Okay, so here's the thing. What I would, my hunch would be that your Cancerian person, and please do not take this the wrong way, but it feels almost like the Cancerian person in this connection wields more power than the Crosswatcher. Of course, if you know it's the other way around, then, you know, by all means, you know, flip it around. But I'm just going to go with, you know, how I set the spread out. But for your Cancerian person, it's more or less, it feels like they have more power in the relationship. I always say that when it comes to relationships, the person who finds it easier to leave is the person who has a tendency to hold more power in the partnership. Not saying that's healthy, because it's not, because it's kind of like pushing your weight around, but it puts the other person in a position to where they're more submissive and they're more kind of cautious of what they do, because they know at any moment the other partner could just be like, I'm out, you know what I mean? But I feel, it feels almost as if how this pans forward, like my Crosswatcher wants to be with this Cancerian person. However, it's almost that things went awry with the two of you, and you're kind of in a liaison phase right now. And it's kind of like, and I feel like that's where that burdening is coming from for my Crosswatcher person. You know what I mean? But for the Cancerian person, how can I say this? It's a lot of stuff I'm seeing that I really don't know what would be the right way to say this. It's like with your Cancerian person, it's almost, it's like, how do I want to say that? It's almost like blame shifting, I guess you would say, because coming into this point in the month, things clearly didn't work out between you guys. However, there's still an element here of the two of you not listening to spirit. So it's kind of like how the two of you got to where you are now is because something that transpired somewhere around the beginning of October was misunderstood. It's almost like one elected, and this is going to sound so strange. It's almost like one looked at it, not like one, but I mean both of you, like both of you looked at this situation logically as opposed to spiritually. And I know that sounds kind of wild, but that's the only way I can really get it out. So it's almost like intuitively, you or your gut instinct, however you want to say it, said one thing, and both of you went in the polar opposite direction of what it is that you felt intuitively. So especially like for this Cancerian person, it feels like they were either out of alignment already with spirit, or it was kind of missing the boat on the lack of growth in this partnership, or the lack of an offer in this partnership. And it's kind of missing the message here. So this is so strange. If I were to put it into an example form, it would kind of be like two people who are together get into an argument. right? And, you know, spirit says to the Crosswatcher, like, don't break up with them, right? And spirit says to the Cancer, don't break up with them. And then both of you are like, I don't want to be with you no more. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to be with you no more either, right? And then it like brings you to this point. So I'm saying all of that to say that with this hangman in the reverse, it's like there was a sacrifice that needed to be made. So for your Cancerian person, it was something that they needed to give up, or something they needed to walk away from, or something that they needed to come out of alignment with in order for this to work, right? But they didn't. So now they're like in this space where everything is kind of up in the air, right? And even though on both ends, it's like with my Crosswatcher person, you guys are kind of in two different vibrations with this. With my Crosswatcher person, this more speaks to wanting a stable, you know, wanting to take steps towards, you know, being in a commitment, being married, having babies, having like a stable life is what I'm feeling more for the Crosswatcher. For the Cancerian person, I don't really feel like it's that deep for them yet, but it's just wanting to move forward in a positive way. So it's like with your Cancerian person, there's this element for them, and I feel like that's outside of the Crosswatcher. It's like they just want to leave their past behind. It's like the way that they've lived their life up to this point, they really don't want to have nothing to do with that, like talking about it. So in a sense, they're willing to sacrifice or let things go in order to move forward. They're willing to leave, you know, habits behind, perceptions behind, ways of being behind in order to move forward, period, just in their life in general, right? I don't really feel like they're thinking so much to, you know, marriage, kids, babies. I don't really feel like they're seeing that far. However, they're feeling more or less subjective to their experience. So the whole thing is here, seeing this Judgment in the reverse and the Hanged Man in reverse, which should have happened, right? Or ideally would have behooved them to happen, is them seeing this opportunity as that crossroads that they were looking for, or this freedom that they were looking for, or this thing they were willing to sacrifice for. But they got the opportunity that they were praying for, but they didn't recognize it, if that's making sense. Because I don't know your Cancer life, but it's like they wanted to be freed. They wanted a fresh start from the way that they've lived up to this point. But Spirit gave them what they asked for, but they just didn't recognize it, if that's making sense. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. They didn't recognize it because it didn't come in the package that they expected it to come in. So it's almost like they purposefully pushed their opportunity or their salvation away. And now it's like they feel at the will of their situation. But again, it's because they didn't recognize it because it didn't come in the way that they thought. Which is a mindset type of thing. It's like, and that's where I say it's like it's a disconnect with listening to Spirit, because, and I've been saying that with a lot of other signs, it's like calling a blessing a curse. So it's like it's not seeing the opportunity or not seeing the blessing that you had in front of you, because it's like it's not listening to Spirit and like kind of putting too much value on logic, if that's making sense. It's just that I feel like it came in something that wasn't very palatable. You know, it's like, oh, you know, I'll do anything to get a new life, you know, but it's like that is how this opportunity came. I hope that that's making sense. But either way, it's like your Cancerian person now is feeling, as opposed to them going into this place with you guys where it's a confident sacrifice, where it's like when you willingly give something up, and I don't know why this is coming to me, but if you think about giving someone like a kidney, you know what I mean? It's like, as opposed to someone drugging me and cutting my kidneys out and leaving me in a bathtub full of water of ice, where I had like no choice in the matter. It's finding out that a friend or a family member is in dire need of a kidney and you're a match, and you make the decision to say, I will give you one of my kidneys, is like the energy signature that I'm seeing is how this was supposed to pan out for your Cancerian person. And it's like with them making this sacrifice, it freed them up to get this new beginning that they desired, like this clean slate. But with them misinterpreting what this was, it's like they've by default put themselves in a situation to where they've woken up in a bathtub full of ice, proverbially speaking, if that's making sense. Now, the hope with this would be is by the 31st of October that your Cancerian person comes to and realizes this, right? So that they can make a decision that's more empowered, that's more informed. Because right now, your Cancerian is in a state of like happenstance. It's like they're feeling victimized and they're blaming you or, other people for the situation that they're in. I didn't ask for this. How dare this happen to me? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel abandoned by spirit and I'm being ridiculed. And, it's like, that's the headspace that they're in, but it wasn't intended to be that way. It's more or less them getting in their feelings, right? And it's like not just their emotions, but it's like them getting in their feels and getting in low vibrational feels and them reacting from that place as opposed to reacting from more of an empowered place. So they were blinded from seeing the gift that they really had, which brings me back to you guys' energy, because I feel in some sense or another, my Crosswatcher, you made an offer to them, but it may have possibly been kind of open-ended, if that's making sense. Like, I don't know, if you guys were dating, it's just like, would you ever want to get married? You know what I'm saying? Not saying like you gonna marry me, but it's like making that offer. And that's just hypothetical, But I feel what it is that you guys presented to them that was their salvation, proverbially speaking, it's like they missed it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's why you guys are disappointed and kind of second guessing yourself, because it feels like you guys are overburdened at present because you're looking back at what you said or what you did or what you opened up about. And now you're like, man, I should have never did that. And it's like, you're feeling like all weighed down by it and whatnot. But this is more about them than it's about you, if that's making sense. Because I feel whatever it is that you guys offered to them, there wasn't like a hidden motive. It's like you were being open and clear and giving your purest of intentions. But it's like, it's their own, it depends on the person, but it's like, it's their own ignoring spirit, their own lack of spiritual growth, it's their own lack of tuning into their intuition, to where they rejected something that was really a blessing to them because they perceived it as a proverbial, curse or something. And I feel why that is because it just didn't come in the package in which they assumed it was supposed to come in. So that's literally just saying to me, which is it sucks for them, because it's one of those things where when you make your mind up about something, it's almost like playing God in a sense. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to call in, my soulmate, right? But they need to be exactly 6'2.5". They need to have this particular hair color, this particular eye. Okay, there it is. I don't know what just happened. I guess it's still recording, but anywho, so like I was saying, it's like having very specific things that you're asking for. It's like their teeth have to be like this, their body has to be like this, they have to dress like this, they have to have gone to this particular school. And it's like, you could meet a person, and this is all hypothetical, by the way. You could meet a person whose hair is a shade lighter, whose eyes is a shade darker. They're, they got one tooth that's like jacked up or something like that. They, dress preppy as opposed to like, like rebel or whatever. And it's like one minute detail that's off. And it's because it didn't come in the exact package that they expected. They're just throwing it out. You know what I'm saying? Or not understanding that sometimes conflict can be healthy, or not paying attention to certain things that triggered them. So like, say if you talked about marriage and marriage is a trigger for them, it's like they throw you into the pile of like, ooh, this is a bad person because they triggered me. They made me feel a certain type of way. So they're bad, like very black and white thinking, as opposed to allowing it to be a challenge for them to grow, right? Because they were willing to give anything for a clean slate and a new life, right? But the anything they had to give up was something that they're very much still bound and attached to. It's like everything but that. But instead of this person going like within or being honest with themselves to see that, it's like they're projecting it onto the crosswatcher. You know what I'm saying? It's like, would you ever be married? They define that as, oh my gosh, they're so clingy and codependent. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, they're so desperate. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they were given what it is that they asked for. So this more or less comes to a thing of it being more their issue than it's yours. So it's kind of like a missed opportunity for them, if that makes sense. Then we have, wow, the Magician in the reverse. That's so sad. Having every tool and resource available to them to see this as an opportunity and them just not using it. It's like they had every option available to them to take advantage or take action on this, and they didn't. So it's like they missed the boat. Wow. Then we have the Two of Pentacles in the reverse. It's indecisiveness. This person does not trust their own judgment, but they act like they trust their own judgment. Like this would be someone who does not trust themselves and doesn't trust other people because they don't trust themselves, but takes this stance of being judge, jury, and executioner, which is so contradictory and such of a conundrum that it don't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is a person who, on some level or another, with the Magician in the reverse, it's a person who's manipulative, but I feel with them, it's more of like a disempowered manipulative. So it's like a person who has the prowess to be like a master manipulator, but they're not even using that to the best of their ability. Because it's like, this would be a person who is so kind of melancholy, because the light in their life would come from them listening to spirit, like listening to their intuition and their gut instincts, but they don't trust themselves. So they end up becoming very reactionary. And all other times they're very indecisive unless they're challenged. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't know what to do or how to maneuver or how to move. But the second that they're challenged by someone, even though a lot of times these challenges and these catalysts are here to get this person out of Seven of Cups, because what this says to me is that this person lives in a very just delusional kind of state on a regular basis. It's just always kind of like this way or that way, or this way or that way, or I could do this or I could do that, but I don't know because I'm scared. It's like, well, I don't trust them. But it's like the indecisiveness at its root is because this person is afraid to assert themselves because they don't trust their own judgment. So how could a person trust someone else? How could a person trust spirit? How could a person feel empowered to, you know, move forward or be confident in their choices if they don't even trust themselves, right? But it's almost self-defeating, because this person asks for what they received, but it's because it was uncomfortable, they rejected it. And it's like, I feel like there's a pattern of that. It's almost like, I really want someone to love me. You meet someone that loves you, but it requires compromise in the partnership, and it's compromise to them as a threat, because it's like, oh, you're trying to control me, you're trying to make me somebody that I'm not, and you cut the person off. And it's almost like they continuously perpetuate this cycle and come to this place again where it's like, spirit, please send me something, someone, da, 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 da. And they get it and they cut it off again. So it's like being thirsty in the desert and like praying for like spirit to send you a bottle of water. And like, you get a glass of water and you reject it and just, die of thirst because you asked for a bottle, not a cup. And the fact that it's still water, but the water came in a cup as opposed to a bottle, so you don't trust it. So this would be like a person who's hella trigger happy. This would be someone who has been wounded so much and they're so defensive and they're so reactionary that it's almost like they're cutting out their own ability to learn lessons, because it's always this jumping to conclusions of like, you're trying to attack me, you're trying to say I'm dumb, you're trying to say I'm this. And it's like, no, I kind of wasn't. I just was kind of saying, did you ever want to get married one day? Oh no, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to control me. You're trying to dominate me. You're trying to make me be this, and this. And the person is like, okay, this is weird. And most people are going to be like, yeah, I kind of don't want to deal with them. But I see with my Crosswatcher, there's still an interest. It's wanting to move forward with them. You know what I mean? But it's like this person, I don't know, dude. It's like they're very, I don't want to say they're very, wow. Then we have the 10 of Pentacles in the reverse. I don't want to say the person is damaged. I don't want to say that. I just like, they desperately need to do personal work, dude, like big time. Because it's like this person is like a giant walking human scab. Their eyes are covered by scabs. Their body has like 3rd-degree burns with scabs. And it's like, you can't be in a healthy, stable relationship with people like that, because they have a hairpin trigger. It's like everything is a slight, everything is an attack. It's always about me. You're trying to attack me. You're trying to hurt me. Like, how dare you do this to me? You know what I'm saying? And it's like they completely miss the point. It's like they're so rooted and grounded and almost self-righteous to an extent. It's like having pride in their wounding, but not taking into account that you're so wounded that it's like you're delusional almost. It's like you're not seeing clearly. You know what I mean? You're not seeing the situation clearly, because it's almost like a person who, I don't know, gets hurt so much, gets traumatized so much, and never goes to therapy, but tries to tell everyone else how to get their life together. It's like, it's one of those people. And like I said, Cancerian people, if you're watching this and it's flip-flop, then by all means flip-flop it. But this is like a person, dude. I feel like there's a word for that I can't recall. I think it's like what my mom used to say, like a pot calling the kettle black. It's like this person is so self-righteous, dude. Like they think they're right. But I'm like somebody, like just looking at how this looks, dude, I'm somebody that would like be sitting on the sidelines looking like, it's like they're so wrong and so blinded to their own wrongness. Like they can't even see it. Like they really believe wholeheartedly everybody else is the problem. Like everybody else the problem, everybody else is attacking me. Like this between you guys didn't work out. It wasn't their fault. It was yours, because they do everything right. Because everybody attacks me and everyone is always coming after me because I'm me. Like, I don't even know what it is about me. Like that is a sense of entitlement, which I heard this, dog, but I have to say it. How this person is behaving is borderlining on covert narcissism, because grandiose narcissism is a whole nother ordeal. See, covert narcissists, some of them aren't even aware that they're even narcissists, but it's like with them, it's a whole ton of emotional manipulation. Woe is me, like, like, and people will feel bad for them. And they make like the partner that they're with out to be like this domineering, manipulative, like alpha person that doesn't care about their feelings, that's always attacking me. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even the case. It's like with this person, they don't trust themselves. They're extremely indecisive. They cannot make a decision. They have all kinds of resources, gifts, talents, and abilities. They're not even living up to that. They're not taking action on none of it. It's not that it's not there. They're just not doing nothing with it. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, I don't know. It goes back like with this 10 of Pentacles and the reverse. It really goes back to their whole self-concept. It's like they're wasting a lot of their gifts and abilities, you know? But still in all, this would come to a thing of like, this would be something they're projecting onto you though. Like everything they see in you, dude, and I could promise you this, Crosswatcher, every single thing this person has ever told you about you, what they think that you doing, what they accuse you of, what they judge you about, they talking about themselves. I promise you that. Because they are so blinded by self-righteousness, dude. Like, and it provokes compassion in me because I'm a therapist. It don't have to do that for you, but it provokes compassion in me because I know this person is so blind. Like they're so blinded by what they've been through. Why I would be sitting on the sidelines looking like, is because they do not see what they're doing. They're like, they really believe that they're right in real life and are unteachable. And that's a fear because I'm looking at this blue moon in this card. And this comes up to the 31st of October. We've been talking about all month, dude. And it's like, this is scary because if we were to put this in an allegorical standpoint and we talk about like Mayat and the weighing of the hearts, right? And like you're comparing the weight of your heart to a feather. A person who has this much trauma has a hardened heart. A person who is to a point where they're unteachable, where it's feeling like they're being victimized by everyone, where they're self-righteous, you know, because they know you don't know, you're the problem, I'm not the problem. When a person gets to that point, and this is me getting real super deep spiritual with this, and it's something I've been talking about with my COUTURE group for some time. It's like, and I talked about this years ago, there's a spiritual influence. And it goes back to like ancient, you know, ethos and things, but it's Leviathan, which is like a huge demonic influence. And when they say like remove the scales from your eyes, they're not talking about like Libra scales, like they're talking about like reptilian scales. Because a person who's under the influence of the spirit, it's like no one can help them. The only person who could deliver you from, you know, a vibration like this, a stronghold, whatever terminology you want to use for it, is the person themselves. You know, they have to come into the awareness that they've hardened their heart, that they've snuffed out spirit, you know, because they've made themselves the god of their own life. So now, like I said, they become judge, jury, executioner. It's like they're the ones who get to decide, like, you know, you're a good person, you made a bad choice, now you're a bad person, you deserve to be punished. It's like, this is someone who's very hell-bent on revenge. And it reminds me of what it is I heard this morning when I woke up. I almost put it up on Twitter, but I didn't. But I wanted to say to release the anger that you have for them because it's weighing you down. This is a person who's very, very bitter. Like they've been through so much stuff in their life that they are so angry, they're so resentful, they're so bitter, and that energy from that has hardened their heart and given them this prideful, self-righteous demeanor of, I have every right to say this, and this, and this is wrong with you, and you need to fix this and this and that, but they've done no personal work. That's the blind spot of being in this mindset. This is why pride comes before a fall. Because you're blind, and pride blinds you. It puts the scales on your eyes. So you have this false perception that you're correct. But like, just like I say, putting it in terminology of covert narcissism, it's like this person doesn't see what they're doing as quote unquote narcissistic or manipulative because they feel justified. So this is even if this person was like trying to get revenge on people and wanted people to pay for what they've done to people, whether to them or other people, they feel justified because of their pain. So they feel like it's not the same thing as a person who's like grandiose narcissistic that's just oppressing people because they like, you know, human beings being pawns and trophies and things of the sort. But that's the part of the spiritual blindness of this, you know? So it's like this person is trying to protect themselves from perceived attacks, and they're not even realizing that they're their own worst enemy. And dude, I have to say this legit, as much as I've talked about the 31st and this whole portal and the choice that you're gonna make this entire month, This person I'm talking about, and I don't expect all cross watchers who are watching for cancers to resonate with this. Cancer, if you subscribe to me, I highly doubt that you resonate with this. This would probably be somebody that you're dating or something. You know what I'm saying? A no, or whatever the case may be. But this person would be worst case example of how a person would want to approach the 31st of October. Because this would be somebody who would be trapped in this cycle going forward. Like, this would be someone who would get stuck like this, where they would never change. And my crosswatcher people or Cancerian people, if this is somebody that y'all dated, if this person and you broke up and they're not in your life no more, it's a reason for that. Because that's their choice. That's a choice that they made. They still have an opportunity to make a choice up until the 31st of how it is that they want to proceed forward. You know what I'm saying? And that's not like anything that's set in stone. It's just more or less a marker point. Past behavior is the best predictor for future behavior. With all of this stuff that's transpired this month, if they ain't come to now, they probably won't ever, because it has to be big, huge changes that have to be made. It's a lot of self-honesty. This person gets a lot out of self-victimizing, because all human behavior, child, this reading is long, but all human behavior is influenced by a payoff. So there has to be some sort of benefit from any behavior that any human being engages in. This person playing the victim, woe is me, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? You know, them playing, like them having a martyr complex, a savior complex, if you will, you know, that benefits them somehow, you know, but they have to choose to leave that behind in order to move forward, to be lighter. They have to release that burden. They have to make a choice to leave that behind in order to move forward lighter and go in the direction of what they want. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to perpetuate this emotional bankruptcy within themselves and the other people's lives that they touch. So Crosswatcher, if you're trying to have stability and security with someone like this, you're asking for emotional bankruptcy, because a person who isn't stable and secure within themselves, they can only create burdens, chaos, calamity, and disappointment in your life until they get to a point of stability and security within themselves. You know what I'm saying? So anywho, this reading been too long. That has been your reading, Cancer Crosswatcher. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going over to Vimeo, my website, YouTube members. Wait, Vimeo, Patreon, my website, and YouTube members. Oh yeah, to do your extended. So if you're about that life, follow me over there. If not, I still love your face, and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends. No, I'm ashamed.